What's up, sports bettors? We got week 3 of college football, and the game I'm most excited for is probably Georgia versus USC. Georgia versus South Carolina. Note I said USC. The real USC is South Carolina, not Southern California. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's get into the odds. So unsurprisingly, with Georgia looking like the only team capable of winning the national championship this year, they're pretty big favorites, right? They're best offered at minus 2,000. The best price you can get on South Carolina's plus 1450. Once again, you'll notice that the Betfair betting exchange, it's a betting exchange. It's not available in the US, but in other countries, is offering the best odds on both South Carolina and Georgia. So I don't have a money line play, right? Because why would I want to bet, let's say minus 2,400 on Georgia in a parlay if I know there's other sports books offering, Georgia minus 2,000? It just doesn't feel good. Right? As a sports bettor, you want to use all the data, all the information in the market to make sure you're finding value, right? This is how the sharps do it. This is how the pros do it. They use data and they look for value. So, if you're placing bets on Georgia at minus 10,000 when another sports book is offering minus 2,000, now, granted, Georgia is likely to win the game, but over the course of the long run, you're going to get screwed, right? As a sports bettor, you have to be price conscious. But anyways, the play I'm going with is from the low holds tool on OddsJam. So I kind of like showing this tool because it's pretty valuable. A lot of people like it. But essentially, what OddsJam does is it takes all the data available in the market and shows you the markets with a very low hold, right? So for example, if you see this Blue Jays, Rays game, you can get the Blue Jays minus 138 on Bet Online. So bet 138 to win 100. And you can get the Rays plus 138. So bet 100 to win 138 in profit. So it's a pick 'em market, right? You could bet on both sides of the market and have no loss of money. So it's a 0% low hold. So this essentially shows you, bets that may be interesting, right? Because the market has a very low hold, right? You can kind of see here, it's like, hey, the Tigers are plus 215 on Betfair. The Astros are minus 215 on WinBet. So kind of looking at the market, it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Maybe we want to dabble with the Astros minus 215. You can see Pinnacle, the sharpest sports book, has it minus 231. But it's kind of, most people use this tool, I would say, on OddsJam to kind of work through deposit bonuses, right? Because let's say you have an $1,000 deposit bonus on Bet Online, but there's a 5 times playthrough. So you have to bet $5,000. What you can do is go here and go, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll place, 1380 on the, I'll place 1380 on the Blue Jays, at minus 138 to win 1,000. And then I'll place 1,000 on the Rays on the Betfair exchange plus 138 to win 1380 in profit. So if the Rays win, I win 1380 on the Betfair exchange and I lose 1380 on Bet Online. So my net profit is 0, right? There's no loss of value. My net profit is 0 in both cases. So you can work through a deposit bonus without losing any money to the VIG. That's how some people use it. But anyways, the play I have and really like for this game is let's find it, is South Carolina plus 14.5 on the first half spread. So again, I know Georgia's good, obviously, but I hammered this bet for $1,000. It's one of my favorite college football bets for this weekend. So South Carolina plus 14.5. And if we think about why we like it, we can kind of, explain that. So first of all, you see Pinnacle, which is the sharpest bookmaker. They're pricing this all the way down at minus 133, right? So this is actually an arbitrage bet between, Caesars and Pinnacle. So by definition, when you can get plus 111 on Georgia minus 14.5, and South Carolina plus 14.5, minus 110, one of these bets has to be profitable. So it's just an interesting bet to look into. So if I go ahead and I click into the market, what you'll notice is like, wow, Caesars has the spread at 14.5, DraftKings, and then FanDuel have it at 14 or 13.5. And Pinnacle has it at, right around 14. And obviously these are key numbers in football, right? The probability of Georgia leading at the end of the first half by 2 touchdowns, 14 points, where we're winning, right? We would win in that case, for example. So we're going to win if Georgia's up by 2 touchdowns. The bettors on FanDuel who took South Carolina plus 13.5 lose, right? And then the people who take, it on DraftKings or Pinnacle, where the main line is for Pinnacle, Georgia plus 14 or South Carolina plus 14 on the first half spread, they're pushing, so they're getting a refund. We're winning, right? So as a sports bettor, you're not expected to win every bet, right? Like the pros, the sharps, they're winning on point spreads 55, 56, 57% of the time, depending on how good they are. In an average bettor, a recreational bettor, who, the people who suffer from gambling addiction and end up, losing all their money, they're winning on point spreads 50% of the time. So being able to get these insane spots with value, like South Carolina plus 14.5, where you're getting a point of improvement around such a key number in football on a first half spread, like that's how you make the big bucks sports betting. That's how you make money sports betting. So I ended up taking this bet, again, I think it's one of the best plays. And I added it, this sheet I'll keep in the description. I'm going to start keeping track of just the profit and loss kind of from all these bets. I started this, I believe, last night or 2 nights ago for the, kind of after Sunday, I guess, Sunday night football ended. Packers, Bears, for example, I think is the first play where I decided to do this. So we're just going to start tracking our profit and loss. So a bunch of plays open, a bunch of college football already. Michigan State plus 3.5, over 49 Wyoming Air Force. And then we can back out very briefly the profit margin of our bet, right? So again, we have pretty high confidence that this bet on Caesars is really good because again, Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker, first of all, they're pricing it at minus 133. Second of all, DraftKings, they have South Carolina plus 14 favored, right? It's juiced to minus 115 compared to Georgia minus 14. So South Carolina plus 14 is juiced, and we're getting better odds, and we're buying up half a point around a key number. So DraftKings is in line with Pinnacle. So, basically like the entire sports betting market, aside from Caesars, is saying this bet on Caesars is really, really good. What you could also do, if you wanted to, is you could hedge with South Carolina or on FanDuel, middle, I guess, essentially. You could bet on Georgia minus 13.5, and then you could go to Caesars and bet them South Carolina plus 14.5 if you think Georgia is going to be up by exactly 2 touchdowns at the end of the half, which honestly is a pretty likely outcome, right? Then, if Georgia is up by 2 touchdowns after the half, you win both bets, right? You'd win, you'd cover both spreads, right? Which is why middle betting can be really powerful when you're able to find these discrepancies. And again, for any sport you want to browse odds for, that's completely free on OddsJam, so feel free to. But anyways, so Pinnacle's pricing this minus 133, and they have the Georgia minus 14.5 at plus 111. So if we throw that into a no vig odds calculator, the true price with the vig removed, once you remove the vig from the sportsbook, is minus 120.44, and the win rate for this bet, according to Pinnacle's model, is 54.64%. So right, this is how sportsbooks work. They have models that spit out, this is the probability, based on all the action, all the bets that have come in. This is what we think the probability is that South Carolina covers the 14.5 on the point spread. And as you can see on Pinnacle Sportsbook, their model is spitting out 54.64%. So then what the sportsbook does is they convert that into their true odds, and then they add the vig, right? That's exactly what every sportsbook does to make money. They have some model that spits out, here's what we think the win probability for this bet is based on all the action in the market, which is supply and demand, just like the stock market. So we think South Carolina plus 14.5 is 54.64% to occur, which implies minus 120. So we'll give sports bettors minus 133 once we add in the vig. So what we have to do as a sharp bettor is take the sportsbook's market and remove the vig, remove the juice, which is exactly what we did right here. And then we have to go to an expected value calculator. So we're putting $1,000, right? With a 54.64% win rate at minus 110 odds. Our bet is $43 in profit margin in expected value. So really good bet. Really, really good bet that you can get in on. And if you want to, feel comfortable, 2 units for me, hopefully you're able to tail this bet and let's make some money.